Adrian, thanks very much for joining us here at EXPO Real. It would be good to catch up, I guess, on the Skanska view. First of all, in terms of some of the kind of broader macro areas around economy, what are you seeing there and how's that influencing things for you?
Thanks, Richard. Nice to be here with you again. So basically, when you look into this recent publications, especially, for example, PwC Emerging Trends 2023, you can see that economies in Central Europe will be growing much faster. So they're analyzing next 4 years, and it's actually quite evident that Germany, Italy, France will be growing 1.5, maybe 2%, yes? And then the growth in Central Europe is double, when you compare this to these three countries. So we can expect 3 to 4% growth over the next 4 years until 2027. Which of course is fueled by, impacted by manufacturing, exports, consumer spending. So the economies are still trading very well, and we haven't had a recession in Poland, neither in Czech Republic for the last 20 years. Yes, so this is something which is a good prediction for the future, and how this translates into the real estate market. So definitely, as you can see, the 5-year bonds, 10-year bonds, are still trading at a high levels. Yes, so it's hard to expect any decent increase in pricing, yes, or decrease in yields. So what will happen, in my opinion, will be the change of the dynamic of the real estate market. So you won't be actually looking so much into the yield you buy and the exit yield, but actually will be looking at the rents. And here is this connection. Yes, so economy, consumer spending, manufacturing, exports, yes, this is what it will be fueling companies to expand, yes? And of course, now the real estate investors will be definitely putting much more focus at the rental level predictions for the next years. So if you cannot get any, let's say, you cannot score on yields, you'll be looking at the rents. So this will be making your investment very favorable, of course, when you have rental growth compared to some other locations where you don't.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point in terms of particularly the CEE region there. We've seen, obviously, there's a big focus from Skanska, and particularly in that region around the office side. We've obviously seen in the US, considerable concern around offices, less of a focus on that, I think, here in Europe. But I suppose, how are you seeing that? Particularly those trends that work from home. How are those shaking out? How are you seeing those develop?
No, it's actually very interesting. And again, I may a bit, link towards Cushman Wakefield report, where they predict that there is 75% risk of office obsolescence until 2030. Yes, which is of course very much connected to what you're asking me about. That people want to be in places that they thrive, that they collaborate, they take trainings, that they can somehow of course learn the culture of the company. So definitely you have to attract the talent, yes, to your space, so they come back. So therefore, when you look at the aging of buildings, average age of the building in Central Europe is like 16 years versus 5 years in Western Europe, yes? So we will be attracting people. And you can see that when you take statistics that, further you go to the east, like from France to, let's say, Romania, Bulgaria, you can see that the levels of occupancy, physical occupancy, which is, of course, measured by the, cars that people check upon arrival to the office, you can see that it's a totally different situation. So, therefore, we believe, that these factors, plus of course the fact that we have already some like you have this idea of many real estate investors and developers have this idea of 15-minute cities, yes. So we don't have to build 15-minute cities because our distance from home to the office is much shorter than in London, Paris, or especially US. Yeah? So therefore, we believe that all of that, taken into account, will definitely, be a game changer for the Central Europe.
Yeah, that's interesting. Particularly that view, I think, around what's happening in CEE as well. And you mentioned there, areas around ESG. There's a lot of discussion around social value, social impact. So I guess how are you now, seeing that grow in terms of expectations, but also integrating that at Skanska into your developments?
I wanted Richard to actually maybe make a comment about how this ESG is impacting, because I'm looking from both perspectives, investor's perspective and the tenant perspective, yes? So I can see that, of course, majority of the ESG values are acceptable, and of course, they are somehow, investors and tenants are very much encouraged by them. However, there are small differences, yes? Tenants, they concentrate very much on net carbon, on emission-free operations, yes, and well-being of a person, yes, in the building. So you have to, you're looking at the location of the building, access, and of course, the quality of air, water, and biodiversity. Terraces, some additional amenities like kindergarten. So everything that is very much important for the S value, yes. And then when I look at the statistics, what investors prefer, this is still about the bottom line, yes. So how much money I make on ESG, or I look at the energy efficiency of the building, and definitely this is. I would say still the most important, and will be the most important factor, yes? And on top of that, you have to have proper data. So investors about savings and data. They're looking at of course, cash flow and the IRR and, their return on equity. So they have to see, what kind of data they have at hand, so they can analyze that and take some, of course, look at the trend and then apply that in their operational or in the asset management of the property. So this is very important, because you have a lot of data from energy, from social, from whatever you need for this, certificates, LEED, well. So this is very important for investors. So you're going deep into that, and the quality of data is critical.
Yeah, I think that's important. And also you mentioned there the alignment in terms of, developers, investors, and also occupiers. So it's going to be fascinating to see that develop, which I think it has to, over the next 12 to 18 months. Thanks very much for joining us, Adrian.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you again.